Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency Joint Regularly Scheduled Meeting for March the 5th. If you all would make sure you got this thing right here, silence, so we don't have any embarrassing ringtones or jump up and dance disco music. That would be great. Any writings or documents provided to a majority of the City Council regarding any item on this agenda are made available for public inspection in the lobby at Taft City Hall. Right there in the front lobby is a very comfortable place to read these things, and staff will make the entire agenda available to you during normal business hours as of Senate Bill 343. We're going to begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Bryant, followed by an invocation from Greg Haslow of the Calvary Temple. If you will join me, please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please, put your hand over your heart and salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we stand tonight, especially me, grateful that we live in a wonderful country that allows us the freedom of our government, the right of free speech and of worship. I thank you for the rains that have come. They've slowed us down on the highways and caused us to wet our hair and muss us up, but God, it's been good for orchards and ranches and for our families that are involved in farming. Thank you for the men and women who serve our city, and pray for your wisdom tonight to guide them. Thank you for those who work for our safety and protection, for city and county law enforcement and county fire personnel as they serve us in our community, and pray especially for peace in our homes and streets. I ask this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, Greg. All right, Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Knorr,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant,
Here.
Councilmember Eveland,
Here.
and Councilmember Whiting.
Here.
All right. Got a full clerk. Let's start with item number 1, public hearing on costs and placement of liens on abated properties. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The properties listed below have nuisance abatements. The owners of record have been notified by certified mail and posting on said property in accordance with the Taft Municipal Code of the costs incurred during the abatement process. The properties abated were 322 Woodrow Street for the cost of $379.56, 209 4th Street for the cost of $431.74, and 620 Lucard with an abatement cost of $201.66.
Thank you, City Manager Jones. I do have a question because we have 3 properties in the description you just gave, and yet on the resolution, there are only 2 properties that are listed. Am I missing
One
something?
of the properties paid
Oh.
between the document being put together and it getting to publication.
Okay, very good. So the 2 that are on here are accurate.
Yes.
All right, I thank you very much. So the 2 that we're talking about are 322 Woodrow Street and 620 Lucard Street. All right. The recommendation is conduct a hearing regarding statement of expense. So I'm going to open that public hearing. Is there anybody wishing to speak either in support of or against this motion? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt resolutions entitled, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving and confirming the cost for the abatement of the nuisance at 322 Woodrow Street, Taft, California, APN number 031-390-149, in the amount of $379.56, as well as a resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving and confirming the cost for the abatement of the nuisance at 620 Lucard Street, Taft, California, APN number 031-260-177, in the amount of $201.66.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. You made the motion, Councilman. Any discussion?
No discussion from me. Thank you.
None, sir.
Any discussion, gentlemen? None? Obviously, we as a city don't enjoy having to go to these lengths to make people take care of their properties and do what is responsible. It's a shame, but we have to do what we have to do. So, I have a motion, a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Eveland.
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
And Mayor Nor.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item on the agenda, item number 2, citizens request public comments. This is the time and place for the general public to address the city council on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. Council may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Dr. Kathy Oren of the Taft Chamber of Commerce is going to address us this evening. Welcome, Dr. Oren.
Good evening. It's nice to see everyone here on this soggy evening. You're talking about hair. I thought, geez, I should have checked that out before I stood up. I am here to remind you of upcoming events. So I'll pass this to Yvette and ask her to pass this up to you guys. And it's just a reminder of what's coming. The State of the City Luncheon is Thursday, April 4th.
No worries.
And that's at OT Cookhouse, and that's during the regular meeting of Kiwanis. And we hope to see the city there. They're always very supportive. And of course, people want to know what's going on. We have chosen this year to make safety our theme. So we're going to concentrate on the schools and the safety precautions in our schools. We'll be hearing from the school district superintendents. We'll be hearing from our chief of police. And as soon as I know who is in charge of our substation, I'll be hearing from that person. I've heard rumblings, but we'll try to pin that down. And and also we'll be hearing from our mayor and or our city manager. So it's always informative, and we're looking forward to that. You'll see on here the car show is Saturday, May 18th. That will be on the Rails to Trails. Taste of Taft is slated for Saturday, June 1st. I am clueless about that. I'm not we're not the driving force in that. That's the downtown businesses. The fireworks show will be July 4th. And we're hoping that we will be able to present it on the Rails to Trails again this year, depending upon progress on different construction projects. We might have to make some adjustments, but we will be speaking with our fire department. The golf tournament is scheduled for September, and we have a gala scheduled for October, but we are putting together a gala and arch unveiling at the same time. So the proceeds from our gala event will go to fund the arch that we hope to unveil at Oil Dorado. So we're hoping that everyone will get behind that effort. The Trout Derby, of course, photos with Santa and the Christmas parade are all standard fare. So we're hoping that you can put this somewhere where you don't forget it, because we love the support of the city. We thank you very much for your continued support, and we look forward to the rest of this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathy, as always. Thanks for all your efforts. Next up, council statements, non-action. Councilman Whiting, I'll begin with you this evening.
No statements tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
No statements either.
All right. Councilwoman Eveland.
No statements tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Bryant.
I'm going to break the trend. I've been a little bit quiet here. You know, Mr. Mayor, and I'm sure everyone else has seen it, but I often take it very personally, and I hope that's seen as a trait. When people say things that are negative about the city, but what we don't do. I see the action that we do here as a reflection of the city's best interests, and I hope that people see that the hard work is going on behind the scenes, not necessarily up here on the dais, but the folks at City Hall and all the various departments. But I did happen to read an article in a newspaper that will remain nameless from, 45 miles to the east, a letter to the editor. And the gripe really was transparency. And I'll be honest with you, I can't think of any other place where it's easier to access information than here. I mean, I even go as far as doing my personal business to put it out there so people have a clue what the heck's happening. Because I get it, it's not easy to read these things, and sometimes it's a little bit cryptic. My goal has always been, how do you make that less cryptic and more understanding to the layman out there? And I think we're doing a good job of that, but if people have issues with us not being transparent, please tell us. Ask us. And I'll guarantee you 99% of the time we can tell you. We can clarify. And I want to do that. But we also have to be respectful of certain legal boundaries and professional boundaries that we don't want to run afoul of for the negative impacts that can come down to us. So if we have construction that happen to be going, or not construction, if we have a deal that may be in the works with a certain organization, if we go out and say, this is the organization that's coming, or at least they tell us they're coming, well, one, we violated some confidentiality more than likely, right? Two, we may have scared them off because of that violation of their confidentiality. And three, if they don't come, who's got egg on their face? Us. So sometimes it's not in our best interest to be out there until it's a sure thing. And as soon as it's a sure thing, we should be out there blasting it, singing from the hilltops, telling everybody how great things are. But until then, we've got to be somewhat respectful of those boundaries. And also, if we've got, let's say, construction happening at a certain place that's very visible in the downtown, it's not that the city wants to have a hole sitting on Supply Row for any reason other than something's in progress and we found a snag. Just ask. Just ask, and we'll be happy to tell you what's going on, at least within what we can explain. But I hate to see the city disparaged in any way, shape, or form because people lack an understanding of what's actually happening, and they don't care enough to ask the right questions or ask a question. They just want to complain about it. So I get a little bit worked up about that, and I apologize, but I take that stuff personal, and I look forward to doing better. So if people have ideas or questions or things they want us to explain, ask away. We'll give you every answer you could ever want as long as we can legally do it. And in that regard, economic development's been a big push for us the last four and a half years, and it's slow going. It's not fast. Anybody that knows anything about economic development knows you don't snap your fingers and have business triple in the area. And that sucks because everybody wants to do that no more than the people who sit on those committees in the city itself. But we've done a lot when it comes to retail, and we're pursuing those things. I was fortunate, though, to have a discussion with some folks at Taft College about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it kind of spurred a meeting that ended up happening at Taft College with folks like Supervisor Scrivener at the county level and other folks who are prominent in commercial and industrial development. And what I think is going to do is to spur or to give birth to another entity or group that will continue to push economic development on a commercial and industrial level as we continue to pursue retail things here at the city by way of our economic development activity and committee. So I'm happy to report those things are in the works. I look forward to them bearing fruit really soon, and I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, that's fine. That's part of the transparency, isn't it?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I would have to agree with you, Councilman. I read that same literary garbage. There are uses for things like that. If you own a cat or a parakeet, that would be a good place to use that particular article.
Amen.
I didn't agree with one bit of it. And the fact of the matter is, like you say, we are very open in this city. Not only that, we're pretty easy to catch. I cannot on any given day go anywhere in this city without somebody talking to me. And I love that. I mean, if you're going to, True Value is one of my favorite hangouts. I'm going to give them a shout out, but they've got fresh coffee there. I'm not a big popcorn eater, but I do love perusing the nuts and bolts aisle. And a lot of people know I hang out there. So whether you talk to me or anybody up here or the city manager or the planning director, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the straight skinny as long as we can do it without compromising something in the works. But the moment we can, we will let you know. So yeah, I did. I read that same thing, and it was quite pathetic, and it was shallow, and it was baseless. I can't go on and explain my complete and utter disdain for the individual nor the content of the article because I don't want to embarrass myself nor offend anybody in our audience. So just let it be said, I agree with what you're saying.
Thank you.
Beyond that, some crazy weather we got going on out there. Something, just something that I watch. You remember the talk for 2 years? For the last 2 years, they talked about the warm water blob. It was called the blob off the coast of California. The scientists talked about it at length. It was the size of the state of Arizona, and it was extra warm water was going to influence our climate and our weather, and we're going to have these El Nino events. For 2 years, they've talked about this. Well, it didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. Last year, in December, January, and February, Mammoth Mountain received a combined total of 67 inches of snow. Now this year, the climatologists and the weather people haven't said anything about any weird weather pattern, exceptional or otherwise. Last year, first 3 months, 67 inches combined. Today, as of today, that same place at Mammoth Mountain has 608 inches of snow. Only 2 times since 1969, when they began keeping these records, has Mammoth exceeded 600 inches throughout their entire snow season, which has 2.5 months yet to go. So pretty interesting. I try to keep track of these things, and that's kind of an oddity, but I'd be willing to bet you right now they set an all-time record for snow accumulation at Mammoth Mountain this year. Also, I don't know if everybody noticed it, but prior to the Army Corps of Engineers doing the work they did on Lake Isabella, Isabella was limited to about 72,000 acre feet of water. Now, they're going to be able to retain 361,000 acre feet of water. That is a substantial growth in the size of Lake Isabella.
Just read that.
Yeah, that's going to be something else. So, pretty exciting news, I believe. And I want to thank you because my family ranches and man, that grass is getting thick. So, pretty exciting. On the other hand, it just pushes my work back, but that's okay too, because you're right. We all need it. So that's all I have this evening. Next up, City Manager statement. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no statement.
All right. City Attorney statements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No statement.
No statement. This evening, gentlemen, any future agenda requests? Hearing none, we'll move forward.
Excuse me.
All right.
I think we went past department reports. I don't know if there is any.
Item number 4.
Number 4.
Oh, I checked that off and I didn't say that. Shame on me. Department reports. Do we have any department reports? All right. Well, great. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Sorry to bypass you there, Chief.
That's okay. Good evening, council persons, mayor,
Good evening, sir.
city manager, city attorney, Yvette, city clerk, how are you? I'm going to give you the monthly stats for February of 2019. We had total incidents of 780. Calls for service were 360. Initiated incidents were 420. So proud of that number. Traffic stops 66. Ped and vehicle checks 53. Total officer reports for that month 158. We had accident reports of 7, 31 felony reports, 21 general information cases, 1 activity report, incident activity report, 88 misdemeanors, and 2 unclassified, which gives us the 158. Total misdemeanor and felony arrests this year this month of 83, 69 misdemeanors and 14 felony arrests. We had total citations of 67, which also includes the misdemeanor cite and releases, 5 infractions, 1 moving, and 2 parked, which are also vehicle citations for the month.
All right. Thank you very much for keeping
Very
us
welcome.
up to date, Chief.
Very well.
I did share, incidentally, I said I was done talking, but my wife was the victim of a theft this past month. She was loading up her stuff to go on a trip, 9 a.m., bright sunny day, and went into the house to make the last trip to get her goodies so she and her girlfriends could go on their retreat. And when she came out of the house and locked the door behind her, front door to her vehicle was wide open and a bunch of her stuff was gone. It's unfortunate, people, but the fact of the matter is that there are those out there walking the streets day in and day out every day that are more than willing to victimize honest, hardworking people. So we have to take our own security into our own hands. And that means, be diligent. You're going to have to lock your doors. Lock your doors to your vehicles, lock your house, lock your gates. Keep an eye on your neighborhoods for your neighbors, especially the elderly. We, as a community, our police department did not create this mess. This mess was created through short-sighted, irresponsible legislative acts. And it is only going to be cured through that. Our police department is very good at what they do, and they would love nothing more than to rid the streets of everybody who would create a victim of somebody. But unfortunately, Sacramento puts handcuffs on cops more often than they do bad guys. And we have to take our own security in mind. We have to do that.
Be
So-
vigilant. Don't leave your car running when you're warming your car up on cold days. Leave the keys in with the car's unlocked and you walk away for just a moment to return to your house to grab your coffee or whatever. You're possibly going to be missing a vehicle. Pay attention to your surroundings, but that's in anywhere, in any city, and unfortunately is also at this city. So
That is correct. It is
please
everywhere.
do so. And speak about Mammoth, it's called global warming, sir.
Oh, global warming. Yeah, I talked to a friend of mine back in Kansas. It was 2 degrees, and he talked about global warming, and he wasn't buying it.
Yeah, I'm not either, not yet.
Hey, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I just want to congratulate you and the department on your capture of Eduardo Alcantar Lopez. I know you guys
Thank
put your
you.
nose to the grindstone. You really took it home where it needs to be, so good job.
He was a tough one to chase, so yes, we eventually got him into custody, and it was a good arrest. My guys did a great job.
Thank you very
job.
much,
If I
I
could
believe. Councilman
Add
Eden.
something else, a couple of things, actually. On that particular arrest, I would like to say that the canine that was used in that unfortunately
Nico.
passed away this day before yesterday.
Yes, he
I saw
did.
that in a paper. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
he had a prolonged bout with cancer. He was still 100% on duty, ready to go every day. Great canine. Unfortunately, it got to the point to where they had to actually put him down. He just wasn't able to function anymore. So rest in peace. The other thing I'd like to say is the self-initiate. Like I said this before, and I don't know that everybody who's viewing this or hears this understands what these numbers mean, but I can tell you that the self-initiated activity of 420 separate occurrences is absolutely astronomical for a community this size. That number unto itself tells me that there's some very diligent officers out there doing exactly what they're paid to do and doing it well, and being seen in the community, taking care of the things that are visible out there. And I'd like to commend the chief and the department on that. That number all by itself, I would say is absolutely through the roof.
I wish I could take all the kudos for that, but it's the employees. I mean, they're out there doing their job, and it takes another cup to understand that the 420 self-initiated, these guys are going out, making traffic stops, stopping vehicles, ped stops, and basically being proactive. And as he knows, there's others here that know, that's what you want from your police force, and they're doing a great job. They really are.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you,
Thank
Chief.
you, guys.
Appreciate it, sir. Any other department reports? None. Okay. That brings us to the consent calendar. Consent calendars, item 8 through 16. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council requests specific items to be remembered from the consent calendar for separate action. To be removed, excuse me. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none. Items include item number 8, the minutes for the February 19th, 2019 meeting. Item number 9, payment of bills, about $266,000 worth. Item number 10, agreement with NSM Recycling for the demolition of city-owned buildings at 308 and 312 Main Street. Recommendation is a motion to approve the demolition of buildings at 308 and 312 Main Street, as well as a motion to appropriate $24,500 plus a 15% contingency out of capital reserves for demolition and approved demolition agreement with NSM Recycling Incorporated. Item number 11, award of architectural and engineering services for 6th Street, Center to Main pedestrian improvements, 5193042. The recommendation there is to award the contract to BHT Engineering, Inc. in the amount of $38,543 for architectural and engineering services, 5193042, pedestrian improvement project. Item number 12 is the adoption of Chapter 10 of the Caltrans Local Assistance Procedures Manual. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft adopting Chapter 10 of the Caltrans Local Assistance Procedures Manual as the city's procurement procedures for state and federally funded streets and road projects." Item number 13 is the unmet transit needs in the city of Taft. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft making findings regarding unmet transit needs in the city of Taft." Item number 14, 6th Street Main to Center Caltrans Supplement Agreement number 023. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving and authorizing the city manager to sign Program Supplement Agreement number 023 to the Administering Agency State Agreement number 06-5193F15 and allocate $4,655 from capital reserves and/or HUTA funds for the 6th Street pedestrian project between Center and Main Streets." Item 15 is a consulting agreement for Fieldman, Rolap, and Associates Incorporated. Recommendation is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the consulting services agreement. And then item number 16, consulting agreement for HDL Corn and Cone. Recommendation is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the consulting services agreement with HDL Corn and Cone. Does any member of the city council wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Number 11 and number 14, please.
Number 11, number 14. All right, any others? All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, and 16.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. May we have roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Eveland,
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting,
Yes.
and Mayor Noor.
Yes, and I will have to abstain from item number 8 as I was not at that meeting. Thank you very much. All right, next up, item number 11, award of architectural and engineering services for 6th Street Center to Main pedestrian improvements, 5193042. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe Councilman Bryant pulled these items because they kind of go together. They are the same project.
Yes.
Okay.
Just different steps for the project. Item number 11, staff conducted an informal solicitation in accordance with Caltrans Local Assistance Procedure Manual for architectural and engineering services for the reference project. The city received proposals from BHT Engineering Incorporated as well as of the Wallace Group. The proposals were ranked. BHT Engineering was ranked highest with a score of 259. Wallace Group came in with an overall score of 235. And this is for the design phase of the pedestrian and overlay of the street on 6th Street between Main and Center Street.
All right, very good. Then are we going to incorporate this with item 14 or are we going to consider that
I
separately?
think we could discuss it, but you have to vote on it separately, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So the item number 14 is the program supplement from Caltrans. That is the $40,000 for the design phase, which the city's match portion of that is $4,655, which I believe is about 11%.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Councilman Bryant, you asked that this be removed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really, in the interest of transparency, I thought it would be important to talk about what the project is going to accomplish and obviously the source of the funds.
The source of the funds is RSTP funds, Regional Surface Transportation Funds. It's a percentage the city gets for street and pedestrian projects. This area, 6th Street area from Kern Street, we did some work on it, but the pedestrian improvements, meaning the ADA, there's a lot of curb ramps and stuff that are left between the section of Center Street to Main Street that hasn't been done yet. So all the old drive approaches and all the stuff that's not up to today's standards, we have to spend that money there before we can use it for the paving.
And when you say not been updated, we're talking about meeting ADA compliance for all of your approaches and all of your curb gutter sidewalk.
Yeah, you have buildings there that have old entry points that don't meet grades of today's grade standards for drive approaches and stuff like that. So basically updating the pedestrian pathways, and then we can spend the rest of the money on the overlay to get the pavement.
And we would not be able to use federal funds to do those projects unless we do these updates.
Yeah, the federal guidelines now is you have to spend the money on ADA before you can spend one dime on the pavement part.
And we're leveraging grant funds to pay for those projects in order for us to continue to do pedestrian and street
Yeah,
repaving.
and the indication is the city has highway use tax money that we get, which is a portion of what you pay at the pump. So when those funds, we can use those funds for matching funds for these projects. When those funds run out, then we use the general fund. So we use every bit of gas tax money we have, and then anything that's left over for these matching funds, we use out of the general fund.
Very good. And so we're looking to ultimately just resurface and obviously make it, outside of the curb sidewalk gutter, fixing those for ADA purposes, we're ultimately going to resurface that area in time.
Resurface, yeah, well, we've resurfaced all the way up to Supply Row on Sixth Street. We've resurfaced from Kern Street to Center Street, and now this will be the other section.
Perfect.
And
That's
the
all.
idea is hopefully we can get the southern portion done, the South Sixth Street that's really bad, carry that on, and obviously we need 10th Street done. We can name a lot of streets. There's only so much money to do.
Absolutely.
And that's what we do. We keep working very hard to identify grant funds that are available, putting our SB1 funds to use where we can, minimizing the amount of money with the matching funds, and all the while getting every nickel's worth we can out of the people's money.
Well, and you mentioned SB1, and that was supposed to be a huge pot of money the city was going to get, and everyone's wondering how we were going to spend it. Well,
Yeah.
now that all the cards have been dealt, our year apportionment's around $130,000.
Whereas if we were able to keep all the money that the people in our community actually spend
Spend
on
on that extra tax, it would be close to $1 million.
close to $1 million. So
Yeah.
we're getting roughly 10%. So think about that, people. Every time the government comes to you and says, if you let us take more of your money, we'll see to it that we'll improve your quality of life. We talked in opposition to this. So you, the people, are getting 1 out of every $10 they took from you back. Not a very good value. Thank you very much for pulling that so we can discuss that.
Thank you. I do have one more thing I'd like to ask. Craig, in your experience, that $130,000, approximately how much road can that get you if we were to contract out those services?
Well,
Norman.
what we targeted with the SB1 money is try to get the ADA improvements out of the way so we can use our STP money strictly for asphalt. So you're looking at about $10,000 to $12,000 per ADA ramp. You know, $8,000 to $10,000 per typical vehicle ramp, and then road construction. It depends on how deep that you're reclaiming the asphalt and how many inches you're overlaying and stuff. It's not cheap.
And they're not cheap, or mostly because they're public works projects that require prevailing wage?
That adds 30-something% to it, yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing all that to light. Any other discussion regarding this matter, gentlemen?
Just a quick question on, so our overall matching fund responsibility, did you say was like 11% on the whole project or just on the?
Caltrans projects are typically 8 to 11%, depending on if it's strictly state funds or federal funds. On this one, it's around 11%. And this is the design phase. This is just to get the drawings done and the surveying done, all the stuff that's needed that Caltrans requires us to do before we can move forward with the construction phase. The construction phase you won't see for probably another 18 months.
This includes CEQA and all of the environmental compliance.
It's all required by Caltrans to use their money. You have to do certain.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
All right. Any others? All right. Great discussion. Thanks for bringing that up. So, at this time, I would entertain a motion to, and this is item number 11, award the contract to BHD Engineering Incorporated for the amount of $38,543 for architectural and engineering services, 5193 Ofordu Pedestrian Improvement Project.
Motion.
Second.
Now, motion and second. May we have
I
a roll?
didn't get the second.
Oh, it was
I'll second.
Sorry.
Mr. Evelyn, I'm sorry.
Got a little
May we have a roll
bit
call,
of
please?
so-
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Eveland?
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting?
Yes.
And Mayor Noor.
Yes, that passed on a 5-0 vote. Thank you. And then, item 14, which we discussed, is the 6th Street Main to Center Caltrans Supplement Agreement number 023. So we'll go ahead with the recommendation, if we have no further discussion, which is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving and authorizing the city manager to sign program supplement agreement number 023 to the administering agency, state agreement number 06, 5193 2015 and allocate $4,655 from capital reserves and/or HUDA funds for the 6th Street pedestrian project between Center and Main Street.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Evelyn.
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
And Mayor Nor.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much, gentlemen. All right, that brings us to closed session. I want to thank everybody for being here. Our closed session for this evening is going to be A, conference with labor negotiator Craig Jones, city manager, government code section 54957.6, all units. Item B, conference with real property negotiator Craig Jones, city manager, government code section 54956.8, APN number 032-110-30. And then finally, item C, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, government code section 54956.9A, Taft Union High School versus the city of Taft. Thanks again. Travel carefully. It is wet and nasty outside.